President Trump is literally turning Washington, D.C. on its end. I have never seen what's happening in Washington, D.C. Like it's happening right now. You have conservatives like myself, Make America Great Again conservatives, Tea Party conservatives saying, hey, you know what? I'm on board with a kick the can down the road continuing resolution when we need to be focused on balancing our budget and saving America. But the reason I'm on board with it is because President Trump is doing it without Congress. So let's not get in the way of President Trump. So I have never seen before so many strong conservatives say, you know what? I'm for the clean CR, continuing resolution. It's a budget bill, basically. All right, long story short, budget bill that freezes spending and allows President Trump to do what he wants to do, continuing deportations, continuing cutting spending, DOGE operating, all the things, securing the border, all the things that he's doing, a clean CR would do. So I'm actually on board pushing this thing, and I'm trying to get my fellow conservatives to get it through because what I don't want is the government being shut down. Right now, we're on a roll. We are winning every step of the way. Do not let the Democrats win. And by the way, the Democrats pushing for a government shutdown, pushing for not a CR. Remember, during the Biden administration, all they wanted was a CR. They stand in the way of President Trump every step just because they hate the man. So this is what we're going to talk about today on the program. I'm looking forward to it. But first, I want to tell you about Colonial Metals. So Colonial Metals is getting it done, folks, and they're getting it done in a very big way. And I love the folks over there because I trust them. freegoldguide.com/grant, freegoldguide.com/grant. And the reason I trust them is I know them personally. I got a lot of gold companies coming to offer me to pitch them. And I don't say yes to everybody. I sat down with Colonial Metals Group, and I understand who they are and what they want to accomplish. And what they want to do is protect your portfolio. We have $36 trillion debt right now. We're trying to cut spending, but the debt isn't going to be under control anytime soon. Gold continues to rise as the uncertainty across the globe continues, from the Middle East to even here with tariffs and all of those things. Whether you support the tariffs or don't, all of this leads me back to precious metals. freegoldguide.com/grant. You can use the QR code in the corner of your screen. freegoldguide.com/grant, or call them at 1-800-458-7356. Do it today. Protect your portfolio before it's too late. Gold, in my opinion, can only go one direction. All right. freegoldguide.com/grant. Pay them a visit. I'll tell you what. President Trump has Washington changing like I've never seen it change before. When was the last time that you have ever heard me support a continuing resolution? This is a kick the can down the road measure for continuing the budget. Okay, that's what a CR is. It's just to basically continue the budget. This is what's being dubbed a clean CR, which means we freeze spending at current levels, and then by March 15th, you got to have this passed, and then we push spending throughout until we can get another budget in place. Now, for as long as I can remember, for decades, I've said I don't want a clean CR. I want to cut spending. I want to balance the budget. I want to do all these things. And then President Trump comes out and he says, I need you to pass a clean CR. I need the runway. I need the field to be open for me to do what I need to do. You cannot shut down the government. So I'm thinking to myself, is this going to be one of the few times that I would support a clean CR, freezing spending at current levels, kick the can down the road? And I said to myself, yes. Now, strong conservatives normally would go crazy on this, but I'm not alone here. You have guys like Chip Roy and Clay Higgins and Tim Burchett, my friend from Tennessee, who's a very strong conservative, who's considering voting for this continuing resolution. And let me explain why. We have never before had a president that was cutting spending without Congress. That's what President Trump is doing right now. The DOGE work needs to continue. The Democrats now are flat ass against the CR Why? Because President Trump wants it. That's the only reason. They're just obstructionists. So they will do whatever we want to do. They will do the opposite. This is where we are when it comes to Democrats today. So President Trump needs the runway to continue his quest to cut spending. He continues mass deportations under current funding levels. We can continue the DOGE work. You can continue the ICE work. Continue to support the America First policies. And now we have flipped the roles where Democrats now become the obstructionists. And the media is going to see this because how do you argue against, okay, we can't come to an agreement of how we want the budget to continue, so let's just continue the budget under last year's levels. Now, Republicans may make a small political mistake. It may make sense to do this in the real world, or in a dream world it makes sense. In the real world, it doesn't. They're moving some money around. They want to spend more money on defense, take some money away from other things. Yes, it's a clean CR. You've not increased spending, but you start to move money around. That starts to give Democrats more of a reason to say no. At this point, I would say, you know what? Don't move any money around. And I'm going to tell you, the Pentagon has plenty of money. The Pentagon doesn't need more money. They need to figure out ways to save money, all right? They're spending money on things that don't need to be spent on. We don't need to give the Defense Department any more money. And this is a different position I've been in. You could have asked me this 10 years ago. I would have said, yes, fund the Defense Department. Give them whatever they want. So here we are now where you have guys like me supporting a continuing resolution. And the other aspect to this is President Trump wants it. And you know what, folks? That's good enough for me. I have long said to you, I am a soldier of President Trump. He took us to the dance. He's made America great again once. He's on the way to making America great again twice. Why would I stand in his way? Why would I be an obstructionist to that? Until the time I see, you know what, it's not working, his plan, why would I stand in his way? So the sheer fact that President Trump wants it is another reason for me as a strong MAGA conservative to go ahead and vote for this. So I want to tell my conservative friends, you've got some backing on this. There was a time where you would have voted for a CR and you would have gone home and the Tea Party crowd would have had your lunch. It's not going to happen right now because you're going to have guys like me and Mark Levin and Charlie Kirk and others on not just this network, but on Real America's Voice and all the outlets are going to be saying, hey, let's get this done. Because the president has convinced us that this is a good idea. So you will have backing and not have to worry about it. How do I know things are changing? You got guys like Clay Higgins. He was a sheriff in Louisiana. He's one of the most conservative members of Congress. This is him saying, don't worry about it. Cut 34.
And we have to get past that. And we're going to get past that in just a few days. So don't worry about the CR through the end of September. I've opposed CRs for 9 years up here, but this is a new deal rolling right now, and the president needs our full support, and he's going to get it. So I'll keep you posted, but we have things well in hand and is on the verge of really beautiful growth and prosperity. Hang in there, America. We're going to be okay.
We are going to be okay. So you heard him, 9 years. 9 years he opposed CRs, just like me. It was longer than that. Now, I've never been a member of Congress. I was saying for a long time, we're not kicking the can down the road. I'm not going to support these kind of policies. But I never had a president in office that was finding all kinds of waste, fraud, and abuse, cutting spending, canceling contracts. Forget Congress. I don't need you anymore. I got President Trump. So this is why I like this idea. Now, Higgins also talked about the Democrats blocking all of this. So the Democrats want to stand the way. I'm telling you, as President Trump said, he could cure cancer and they wouldn't support his cure for it. Higgins, go, cut 33.
America, there's a lot of moving parts that are coming together nicely here to save our republic. And the work that President Trump and his people are doing with executive authority needs a clear field to run through this year. Some things that I can't even talk about, but let me just reassure you that the Freedom Caucus level conservatives like me are in full support of the work that President Trump is doing. And the final bit of leverage that the Democrats have to slow us down is the threat of shutting down the government.
Listen, we don't want to shut this government down right now because all the leverage is in our hands. The Democrats got nothing right now. They got nothing. And they don't like it. And they're losing on every level. And folks, I'm going to tell you, you're going to put the Democrats in a real bad spot. They're going to be arguing to shut the government down. Do you see what I mean when this world has been flipped upside down? We got them on the ropes, man. They're on the wrong side of everything. These Democrats are so confused. They don't know what to do. So here's Chip Roy. Now, Chip Roy is another guy. Strong conservative. He's crossed the president at times. Sometimes I'm like, what is up with this guy? But I do believe he is principled. I don't always agree with him, but I do believe Chip Roy is principled. Okay, so I'll give him that. He's also not a CR guy until now. Cut 31.
Look, I am no big proponent of a CR as a general rule. But when you've got this president, when you have these guys down here doing the hard work of cleaning out the clutter, I want to keep the lights on. I don't want Democrats to turn the power off and prevent them from being able to do the job the American people sent them here to do, and which, by the way, Congress has utterly failed to do in the past. And I've been fighting my colleagues in Congress to try to cut spending, and we've hit a wall. The president is breaking that wall down. So we don't want to prevent that from occurring. So the CR is critical. Look, I liken it to this, Steve. If you've got a bunch of crap in your house, it's all cluttering up your house, and the Democrats and the swamp Republicans want to keep adding crap to the house. Well, we're in there now. We got all these guys cleaning it out. They've backed up the moving truck. They're moving all the stuff out, and we just need to keep the power on long enough for them to finish the job.
Amen to that. Again, I'm going to tell you, I just got an email from the White House. This is not one of those standard emails. This is an email from the White House. You want me to read it to you, Dan? You want to read the email I get from the White House?
I'd love to hear what they
from
said.
One of the head communications people. My man! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Thank you, Grant! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! You know what that's about?
What?
That's about over the weekend. I made a hard push on social media to support this continuing resolution. I got a message from a social media viewer, call them, a follower, says, it would be nice if you could tell us what a CR is. She makes a very good point. Programming director Rodney talks about this all the time, is you can't use insider language. The problem with social media is you only have 90 seconds to tell your story. What I didn't want to tell her was my push to approve the continuing resolution, the message on there. I didn't care whether it got 20,000 views, 100,000 views. What I needed was about, 300 views. The 300 views I needed was from Republican lawmakers in Congress. That message that I issued was not to the public. It was to members of Congress, and this is important, folks, listen to me, that I have their backs, and fellow conservatives like me, including Charlie Kirk, have their backs. See, this is what they're mostly afraid of. Real conservatives who don't support a CR are afraid of people like me going to jump their butts because they didn't support the CR. So I wanted to send a message out saying, you know what? We will support the CR because President Trump wants it, and I got your back. So if you're a conservative and you want to vote for the CR, which you should, then I got your back. And that's about a 1-2 punch. I've never seen, even the last administration with President Trump, they weren't working with conservatives like myself, commentators, to get the message out and push lawmakers in the right direction. Quite frankly, folks, it's brilliant. So again, what I tell you, I'm just a soldier. Now, if I disagree, I disagree. I'll tell you about a spot I disagree with them on about price gouging and egg prices. It's not price gouging. I disagree with the administration on that. I'm not afraid to disagree. But I will constantly push for what is right. Folks, you know I'm all about making money and making money the easy way, all right? How would you like to get up to 20% annualized income, 20% annualized interest on your investment, income paid to you monthly? This is what Get20Now.com can do for you. It's a company called NFN8. They have industrialized cryptocurrency mining. They're buying electricity so cheap. You invest with them. They, in return, pay you up to 20% annualized interest on your investment, direct deposited into your account every month. It's like cash flow while you sleep. I love this investment. I know the guys. I have invested with them, a sizable amount too, by the way, and they've lived up to their promises every step of the way. So if you don't want to take part in the wild swings of Bitcoin, but you want to get that guaranteed contractually result, Get20Now.com should be for you. I want you to talk to these guys. Talk to them directly. They're good guys. The owners will call you directly. It's not going to be some sales guy. Get20Now.com. Make sure you call them back. Answer their call when they call you. Get20Now.com. Cash flow, baby. Right into your bank account every month. 20% annualized income cannot be beat. President Trump is just having the greatest 2 months of a presidency that I think there has ever been. And he is not shying away from mainstream media. He's not shying away from questions. I think he's now pushing 2,000 questions answered in just under 2 months from the mainstream media, opposed to Joe Biden, who took maybe a handful of questions. But we've got a lot of big issues right now that need to be figured out as we move forward. One is this continuing resolution, the budget battle, the idea that we've got to get the government to continue to stay open so we can allow President Trump to do his thing. So one of the things that he wants to do is get government out of the way. And he thinks the way you bring down prices when it comes to inflation is you lower government spending, which you've now seen him canceling literally billions upon billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse spending inside the government. The other is to decrease regulations and make it cheaper for companies to conduct business. And another is, of course, to lower taxes. All of these things President Trump wants to get done. Well, he goes on with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend. And I think she's one of the few really great. I'm hesitant to call her a journalist because I know where she stands, okay? I know that she is pro-Trump, and I know that she is a conservative, so I hate to call her a journalist, but she's one of the great talkers on cable news today, and I think she's one of the most sincere. So she's not really a flamethrower like a Sean Hannity, or Laura Ingraham or any others on Fox, but she's sincere. This is President Trump talking about getting private enterprise to succeed, cut 17.
I want a dynamic country where the private enterprise carries the day, not the government. And I want a strong country militarily. We need that nowadays. You can see that probably better than ever before. So I rebuilt our military. A lot of it was given away to Afghanistan, but it was a lot, but a very small portion, in all fairness. But when you think about the billions and billions of dollars that was just handed over, but I rebuilt it. We're going to be rebuilding it again because we need that. We always need that. But we're doing a series of incentives, tax incentives and other things. The tax bill, I think, is going to be very important. The Democrats will fight us all the way.
Look, folks, Democrats are going to fight him all the way on every single thing that he does. As he said, he could cure cancer. He could end all foreign wars. He could provide for peace across this great land of ours. And what do you think would happen? The Democrats would whine and moan and claim that he's a threat to democracy when literally he's restoring it. So this is why I stand with President Trump. Get government out of the way. Give private enterprise some relief. It is about capitalism. Now, I'm going to tell you this, folks. For anybody out there that says President Trump is pro-business, I'm going to smack you across the head. It's not pro-business. It's pro-free markets. And if you're running for office out there and you're a California Republican, don't talk about being pro-business. I don't want you to be pro-anything but free markets. Pro-business makes a special class of people about businesses. I don't want that. I don't want a special class of people about anything. What I want is a lawmaker to say, you know what, let's open up the free markets. Who benefits then? The consumers benefit, the businesses benefit, and actually the only businesses that benefit are the ones that do it better and cheaper than everybody else. So you're not pro-business. You're pro-efficient, good, quality business. And you're also pro-consumer if you're pro-free markets. This is something many Republicans do not understand, but it is important. Now, this issue of tariffs. So I'm the first to tell you I'm a little concerned about the tariffs. But again, I give President Trump leeway on this. I don't see how it doesn't increase costs in the end at some place. We can make an expectation that the foreign countries may pay the tariffs because they've got to compete with, but they may not. So I'm going to say, okay, President Trump, I'll take you at your word for it. Let's give it a shot. But it does concern me a little bit, the tariffs. But I'm open to them because of President Trump and his prowess on this front and his willingness to negotiate. You know, most presidents come up with an idea and they refuse to pivot or move. Not President Trump. This guy would have been a fabulous football coach, right? You go into a football game with a game plan. We're gonna go after this team with this way. You know, we're gonna rely on the passing game, and if that's not working, many coaches don't switch up. President Trump does. The best coaches switch the game plan mid-game if it's not working. This is him, cut 16 on tariffs and how he looks at them.
There'll always be changes and adjustments, and, you know, you can't just, I could have, for instance, told the American car companies, no, I'm not going to give you anything, and then you wouldn't have had to say, well, they're getting a little extra. It's just a little bit of a 1 month reprieve. They're very happy about what's happening. They won't have to go across borders, and you see the zigzagging. You have a fender made in Canada, you have something else made in Mexico. We don't want that. We want it made here. But there'll always be some modifications.
So there has to be modifications, and he does bring up one of the biggest issues, which is many of the auto parts are made in Canada. So it's not just the cars, but the parts. So now in order to repair your car, you're getting parts from Mexico, and that's gonna cost you more. Now, who's repairing cars more? I'm going to say it's the middle class to poor people because, let's face it, upper middle class folks to rich folks are getting a new car every 3 years. They're either leasing it for 3 years or they're buying a car and then they're traded out after 3 years. This is basically the way rich folks operate. They're not going to get hit with car repairs. And one of the reasons is because most of them are driving new cars and there's at least a 3-year warranty on this stuff. So it's poor people to get hit with the car parts. But let's see. I mean, because President Trump summed it up, the ultimate goal is them to make those parts here in the United States, build the cars here in the United States, grow the avocados here in the United States, cut 20 related to that.
What we're doing is we're building a tremendous foundation for the future, tremendous foundation. Everything's been taken away. We don't make ships anymore. We don't, you just saw one of the biggest shipbuilders in the world, one of the biggest shipping people in the whole world.
In the Oval Office with you.
In the Oval Office. He's announcing a $20 billion investment in the United States, which he would have never done except for this. But look at this. Honda, Toyota, they're all coming in. You take a look at what's happening. The chip maker, the greatest chipper, Mr. Wei, the biggest in the world by far, is going to spend $200 billion on making a massive plant to make chips.
So that's your message? Build it here?
Build it here. There's no tariff.
What more could you ask for? No tariffs if you build it here. Now, can we get the cost to build it here down? I think President Trump can help with that, with doing away with some of the regulations. You get the price down by lowering taxes on corporations. We have some of the highest corporate tax rates in the world. Leftists don't understand this, by the way. They literally are oblivious to this idea. All right. We'll keep following this because it's such an important story. The tariffs are such a big deal. The markets don't like them. Believe me, you don't think I'm upset about this? I got a lot of money in the stock market right now. It's not doing well. But you think I'm selling? I'm not selling. I'm holding on because this economy is going to go gangbusters once we figure all this stuff out. It's the uncertainty that's killing us right now. There are people that just aren't convinced of President Trump's plan. But once it starts to come to fruition, holy macaroni, you're going to see GDP explode. You're going to see it all explode. I can't wait for America and the success that we're going to have over the next 4 years. You just watch. You like this country now, you're going to love it 4 years from now. That I promise you. Listen to me, folks. You want to get in good shape? You got to get with my friends over at energizedhealth.com/Grant. These folks have helped me so much. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks, and I hardly even did anything. I changed the way I eat around a little bit. I was still eating many of the same foods that I always like. I changed the way I work out a little bit, but I wasn't killing myself. I wasn't really even breaking much of a sweat. But they taught me about what intercellular hydration can do to your body. It's like a miracle process that they have figured out. It's a patent-pending science. And I say about this program, Energized Health, the secret is in the simplicity of the science. But only they know about it. Intercellular hydration. I want you to learn about it, and then I know once you do, you will want to get on board with these guys. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. There's a masterclass there that you can take, and it's about taking your body back. All right? Whether you want to lose 15 pounds and trim it up like me, or you want to lose 200 pounds, my friends at EnergizedHealth.com can help you. They've helped so many of my Stinchfield's Army listeners and viewers. Real America's Voice right here on Rumble. You're going to love these guys, and they got videos, diet, I don't even call it diet, recipes. They have weekly Zoom calls, personal coaching, you name it. They set you up for success. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. Pay them a visit today. I'm looking at the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, deleting her text messages. Now, she's got her phone apparently set to auto-delete. And so when the LA Times wanted to get all of her text messages surrounding the fires, they couldn't come back with any records because she deleted all the text messages. Now, that's a violation of state law. There's a Records Preservation Act. It's also a violation of LA city policy. Now, the city attorney says, oh, text messages don't fall under that purview, when the law literally says, quote, any writing relating to conduct of official business. Any writing most certainly would be text messages if you're on official business. So she runs the risk of getting public backlash for deleting the text messages, but it's going to be less than the backlash she would have gotten for these text messages deleted. But again, it's arrogance from elected leaders. And here, in many respects, I'm surprised the LA Times is covering the story, and things are changing as you watch the media turn on Karen Bass, as you watch the media turn on Karen Bass, the Democrat establishment turn on Karen Bass, who is, in my opinion, a radical, incompetent mayor of L.A. I don't know how else you describe her, but incompetence is probably first on the list. Radical is second. Both make a combination that doesn't work. Now, here's where the media will not tell the truth. They don't want to tell you the truth about the Trump administration. So Trump comes into town. If you remember, we played the sound bites over and over again, saying, hey, I know my people. We can get this cleaned up very, very quickly. Let them go to work. We'll have the land cleared in 24 hours. Well, apparently, the Environmental Protection Agency invoked the help of the United States military, and the phase one cleanup, which I guess means the worst of the worst environmental hazards, has been cleaned up in 29 days, at least according to the Environmental Protection Agency at a federal level. So Trump comes in, cleans this stuff up in 29 29 days. Where is the LA Times story on that? Where are the local TV news stations on 29 days? They told us it was going to be 18 months. But they don't want to hear about that. In fact, the mainstream media wants to push lies. Over on CNN, luckily, they got this guy, Scott Jennings, who pushes back on the lies. This is him talking about the cleanup and how quickly it occurred.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer the criticisms. Number one, the Cybertruck deal you mentioned was made under Joe Biden and canceled by Donald Trump. Number two, if I may comment on the Los Angeles situation,
not that,
because
that's not
this hasn't been covered. I wrote about it for the Los Angeles Times this week, actually. The Trump administration and the state of California are working incredibly closely together, and the EPA under Donald Trump has completed the phase 1 cleanup in the wildfire zone in Los Angeles in a record 29 days. The estimates were it was going to take 18 months, but this is the cleanup of the hazardous material that you have to do in order to start rebuilding. 29 days. So all this idea that there's photo ops and waste and fraud and whatever, and that Donald Trump was going to abandon California and L.A., the EPA under Donald Trump, 29 days. So actually, there's quite a bit of confidence in government breaking out because Donald Trump's now the president.
That he wasted.
So 29 days, and you hear the liberal in the background crowing. Oh, the liberal also brought up this totally bogus, debunked Cybertruck story that Elon got $400 million. Well, Trump canceled the contract, as he said. Those things are done. Elon's contract was canceled by Trump. And you know what Elon said? I don't need the money. So we're doing just fine without it. So, of course, they bring up all this stuff because that's what Democrats do. They have to misdirect you onto another lie when they're losing on the original story. So how big a cleanup was this? Now, it continues. Don't get me wrong. California, L.A., the state environmental office, the city environmental office is going to hold up. I promise you they're going to hold up the rebuilding of all of these areas that were affected by the fires. But from a federal level, the EPA doing what it needs to be done, 29 days. You know how many properties they helped clean up? 13,612 residential properties. Almost 14,000 properties the EPA comes in and cleans up in 29 days, and the media doesn't cover that story? Here's a problem. When you're on one of the most popular talk shows in Los Angeles, this one I'm talking about, and I don't know this until today, Jen and I don't think we talked about it at all, 29 days clean. You know who else I blame? In many respects, I blame the Trump administration and Lee Zeldin over at EPA. They need to do a better job of getting this story out. They should have been calling us. Hey, start screaming this story from the top of the mountains. This is a huge win. Now, I'm not going to say they've forgotten California because I don't think that's the case at all. But maybe it's not front and center on their priority list for getting positive publicity out here. Certainly, the people affected by the fires are on their radar. They've been doing more for these people than the city of Los Angeles has. 305 commercial properties were cleaned up by the EPA in just 29 days. Now, all of this comes on the heels of the story as Lee Zeldin gets in here. Now, he's the EPA commissioner now. He starts finding waste, fraud, and abuse. Remember that undercover video we heard about it's like throwing gold bars off the Titanic. You remember that? This was either Project Veritas or James O'Keefe. They got this EPA worker. He says, yeah, we're just trying to get the money out the door. Money out the door. How about Stacey Abrams? Remember her? The failed political candidate in Georgia. She ran for governor. She turned out to start all kinds of nonprofits, take in all kinds of government money. Turns out one of her group's Power Forward Communities took in $2 billion of climate change grant money. This is all a grift, folks. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a grift. She takes in $2 billion, 20 times the organization's annual revenue. All right. How they were raising $2 million on their own, I have no idea. No, $1 million. That's 20 times. $1 million. How she was raising $1 million, I have no idea. But apparently she was. And you know what this program was about? Buying new appliances for poor people. They could save on their electricity bill. Isn't that great? We're going to have new refrigerators for everybody. You get a refrigerator and you get a refrigerator. Forget about cell phones. Cell phones are cheaper than refrigerators. This is Lee Zeldin, Cut 7, talking about this well, I'm not going to call it a program. I'm going to call it a grift.
I also sent a detailed letter to the 8 prime recipients asking 35 questions that we want answers to. And this will be a test as to just how much oversight we have, whether or not they respond timely. It's important that all of these questions are answered, not just for me, but I should have the ability to sit before the United States Congress, to sit before you and the American public, and to answer these questions that I'm asking these prime recipients. And I'll remind you, you and I have spoken about this in the past. These are 8 prime recipients that received $20 billion, just these 8. And some of these entities were created just to receive this money, like the one NGO linked to Stacey Abrams that only received $100 in 2023, got $2 billion in 2024.
$100 and now gets $2 billion? Linked to Stacey Abrams. And let's do this. Let's just buy votes. What better way to get you to vote for Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or whoever the idiot is they're going to put up than to give you a brand new refrigerator? So now Lee Zeldin is very happy that the FBI is going to come in. And the FBI is going to come in and investigate climate funding. The DOJ, man, is on the scene. $375 billion in climate funding handed out by the Biden administration, overseen by John Podesta. I can't even call him a Democrat strategist. I'll call him a Democrat grifter. John Podesta, remember him from the Clinton days? He's the guy that oversaw the $375 billion handout so they could buy votes with it. All of it's being exposed, folks. And I love the fact that it is. All right, we still have to talk about the border and egg prices. All right, what's going on with the border and egg prices? How about we'll combine those two. Let me tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. Why are you with the big 3 cell phone companies? They're literally doing everything they can to ruin America with the woke policies, the DEI nonsense, funding places like Planned Parenthood. But if you get with Patriot Mobile, you get America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And if you use my promo code GRANT at patriotmobile.com/grant, you'll get a free month service, which is a big savings. So just call Patriot Mobile at 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, and do what I did. Make the switch. In fact, my phone has 2 networks, 1 phone. So I have 2 lines on this phone. No cell phone company can do this because you choose what network you want to be on, but you don't pay the woke cell phone companies. You go with Patriot Mobile, and you know that a portion of the proceeds they make from your cell phone service are going to fund an agenda that's conservative, that's moving us in the right direction, that supports conservative causes. This is what I love about Patriot Mobile. If you're still with the other cell phone companies, I'm going to ask you why, and I'd ask you respectfully, make the switch today. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT, as I said, for a free month service. 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT. Make sure you tell them that Grant Stinchfield sent you. So, egg prices going crazy. I'm sure you know this already. If you go to the grocery store, the price of eggs is out of control. So I ran some numbers for you. In 2021, do you know what the price of a dozen eggs were? Dan the phone man, you want to guess what the price of eggs were in 2021?
Let's say 250.
Not even close.
Over
Not
or
even
under?
close. 77 cents.
Oh, wow.
77 cents in 2021. Then, of course, they skyrocket. The average price now is $4.95. But apparently, if you go to some Costco's, Walmart's, I'm hearing anecdotally, prices are anywhere between $7 and $9 for a dozen of eggs. Now, I would still save money because I DoorDash everything. I'm the quintessential bachelor that does not cook. I DoorDash everything. But apparently Waffle House is offering, well, not offering, but adding a surcharge to the bill for eggs. Now, Waffle House is where you go for breakfast. Now they got a surcharge for eggs. I think you ought to just add it into the price rather than adding a surcharge. I used to do this when I was I had a quick car oil change place. And we used to add in a surcharge. When the price of oil went in, I put shop fee at the bottom. And I'd put a $5 shop fee on. People would ask what that's for. And it's, it's for the shop towels and rags and all that stuff. But really, it was my surcharge because the price of oil had gone up when I had first bought it. And that's kind of how I hid the price. But I don't know if it would be better if I just raised the price of the oil change. Is it better to just raise the price of the scrambled eggs than it is to put a surcharge on? I don't know. Now that I think about it again, maybe the surcharge is the right way to go. Well, anyway, since 2022, and I'm going to tell you why the prices are going up, and I'm going to tell you a huge mistake the Trump administration is making. Now, for all of you out there that says, oh, Grant's he's a Trump guy through and through. Well, you better believe I am. That's the president. I am his soldier. I admit it. I will fight for him, whatever. But I will also be a soldier to tell, and I don't think he has anything to do with this, by the way, when the general is making a mistake. So the Trump administration, the Department of Agriculture, and the Department of Justice is doing the same thing that the Biden administration does. They've sent a letter to egg producers, farms, saying, please preserve your records. We want to see if there's collusion and price gouging. Would you stop with the collusion and price gouging, please? Do not go down the Biden road. This is exactly what Biden did. Biden said he had a strike force to look at price gouging, why the price was going up. This was back in August of 2024. It's not price gouging. It's the Biden administration decided to cull. That's a nice word for kill, slaughter. 162 million chickens. 162 million. You don't think that the price of eggs is going to go up? You kill 162 million chickens? So here's what their decision-making process was. You get one chicken that comes down with the bird flu. You kill the entire flock. Are you freaking kidding me? That's the kind of lunacy, left-wing lunacy, by the way. Kill an entire flock for a bird flu that's not even infecting humans. I think it was like 2 or 3 humans that it infected. And by the way, do you know where it's really spread? Not in chickens, but in waterfowl, meaning geese and ducks. So you're killing chickens when geese and ducks are spreading it. The geese and ducks are the ones that fly all over God's creation, landing in your pond, landing on the lake, landing in the reservoir that's empty. They're not using the reservoir, that we have here because there's no water in it. But they'll go all over the place. And this is what spreads the bird flu. And the Biden administration decides instead to cull or what should I say, to kill all of these birds. Well, that's not good, folks. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not good. But this is what they do. So now there is a plan, if you can believe this, to vaccinate the chickens. Now, here's my concern, and I know you're going to say, some of you are going to say, boy, oh boy, Grant, you are really a conspiracy theorist. Because I'm worried that if they vaccinate the chickens, does the vax or whatever they're using for the vax, does it pass down to the egg or, God forbid, the chickens you're eating? This is what they're doing with beef cattle. And by the way, there is no law mandating that you disclose that the cattle was vaccinated. So they're using these MMR vaccines that I don't know if they're going to use these for chickens, but I know they want to use them for beef cattle. And they're going to use this. And now is this vax getting put into your body through eating it? There's a lot of concern that is the case. That's exactly what is exactly what's happening here. So I don't know if that's the truth or not. I would hope it isn't going to work like that. but one has no idea. So the Trump administration is issuing a 5-point plan. I want to see if I have that 5-point plan here. I thought I did, but I wrote down here we go, right here. So they've got a 5-point plan now to figure out what to do with the chickens. And to me, investigating them on price gouging is not the way to go with all of this. Also, now turning to border security, Kristi Noem says this idea of family separation, pushing back on it. This is Kristi Noem on the Sunday talk shows. Cut 8, please.
President Biden didn't follow the law. He didn't follow the law in the fact that it's always been equally applied until his administration. And then he made decisions to ignore federal law in how he handled immigration and enforcement within our borders. And so today we're expanding our team at ICE, and we're going to have an acting director in Todd Lyons, who has a long history with Tom Homan. They have worked together to build on these enforcement operations. So we're also naming a deputy secretary in Madison Sheehan that was going to be another expansion of this team. They've done incredible work cleaning up our communities and making them safer. Adding more people to the team with Todd and with Madison is going to allow us to partner with local law enforcement officials to make sure that we truly are following through on enforcing the law. And if you break our law, then there's going to be consequences.
As well, there should be. Now, this idea of family separation, let me ask you a question. If you have your child in the car and you get pulled over for drunk driving, what happens to you? You're arrested, and somebody's got to come get your kid. Hopefully the cops let your husband or wife come get you, or a friend take your kid before just throwing them into CPS. But you get separated from the child. If you do something illegally, like enter the country, there is going to be a good chance you could get separated, especially if you commit another crime along the way with it. You've got to be incarcerated. You're going to be separated. Now, I can tell you this because I've talked to people inside the Trump administration. If you're caught with your children coming across the border, they deport you as a family. That's 100% the fact. But if you're not with your children, whose children are you with? This becomes very, very serious, to say the least, because we now have 350,000 missing children in America today, illegal alien children, but children nonetheless. And I look at them as crime victims, and they're gone. The Biden administration, the largest sex trafficking, human trafficking, labor trafficking operation in the world. So Kristi Noem starting the process of getting it done on the border, that needs to happen. I'm going to ask you a question, folks. Are you ready for the worst? If you don't have prescription medications like the ones that come in the wellness company's kit, you are not ready for the worst. I get it. You may have ammunition. I get it. You may have food and water. I get it. You may have power supply. All that is super important. But prescription medications are super important, too. Imagine the drugstores are closed down and your kids need what's in here, amoxicillin, maybe ivermectin to help fight COVID, and a whole slew of other very important antibiotics, antiparasitics, and antivirals in this kit. You've got to get yourself one. All right, there's a whole slew of products on the TWC website, so I urge you to peruse it. Go to twc.health/grant. That's twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off, and make sure your family is prepared, because I don't want you suffering, folks. This will ensure that lives are saved. twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. You won't regret it. I'd rather have this kid and not need it than need it and not have it. twc.health/grant. I want to continue with Kristi Noem because what she had to say is important. This is the new Homeland Security Secretary trying to get the border under control. We've got to get the new leader of ICE in and confirm, which I believe is on the way to happening. Tom Homan's doing a great job. Look, Tom Homan, our borders czar, he's basically running everything. He's running ICE. He's running border protection, border patrol. now finally being able to do their job. And you know what was such a relief I saw over the weekend? The border wall construction is going back up. Trump has reinstated the rebuilding of the border wall. Now, I know this is part of a section in Texas, Eagle Pass, where there was a very small fence. The fence was like 6 feet. Trump is going back to that giant fence that he was putting in. It was like 25 feet high with steel bollards, nearly impossible to penetrate. Not that you couldn't penetrate it. You could, but it would certainly slow you down, and it will certainly limit the amount of illegal immigration. Now, as we see all of this illegal immigration just plummet, do you know we're at lower levels than we've been in decades of illegal border crossings? Lower than we were when President Trump was in office the last time around. People are getting the message, you're going to be arrested. Now, this didn't take a new law. It didn't take more money. It took a president willing to say, enough is enough. We're going to enforce the law on the books, and we're going to start deporting people. And once you start rounding people up around the country, that message gets back pretty quick to Central and South America and folks in Mexico that want to come in to the United States illegally. Well, no, they're going to round us up. What a waste of money. Spend all that money, risk your life to get into America only to be sent back home. So that, of course, most certainly is working. This is Kristi Noem talking about the gang members that they have captured. Cut 9, please.
That we have. And even everywhere I've been in this country out there looking at what President Trump has done on immigration and border enforcement, the people that I meet are saying thank you. Thank you for getting these terrorists out of the country. He has deported in just 1 month.
Have you deported
22
terrorists?
known and terrorists on the terrorist watch list are out of this country now. We have almost 700 gang members that have been deported out of the country in just a month. And
Which have been redefined as foreign terrorist organizations.
Well,
by the Trump
281 specific TDA members, which we know are the worst of the worst, have been taken out of this country. So everyone that has a story like Laken Riley's family or Jocelyn's family, they're extremely grateful that won't be perpetuated amongst other families in other states.
Well, they should be grateful for all of that. It finally is some relief for these people, including Abbygate. You know, our dear friend, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, what did he do? He got the Abbygate mastermind. This is the bombing in Afghanistan back. And I relate this to what's going on the border because you have the families of Jocelyn Nunn-Gary, who Laken Riley family members, who just want relief, who don't want any other family to go through what they've gone through. And so now when you think of arresting 700 gang members in America today, now think about it. We've had an awful lot of illegals come through here. This is really a drop in the bucket, and I think there are many more than just 700 of them here in the United States. Many more. So we have a lot of work to do. But then you also have the situation of fentanyl. Fentanyl is killing Americans at a record pace. I believe this is, no joke, an attack on America. The fentanyl crisis today is a war being waged on American citizens. It's designed to kill us. And yet the Biden administration did nothing. President Trump is now trying to do something, including with his tariffs against Mexico, Canada, and China. Much of that is because of fentanyl. This was Kristi Noem talking about that. Cut 10.
In the conversations that I've had this week with Canadian officials, they were hoping to avoid the tariffs and had a lot of conversations, but not a lot of action. So this is the hope, is that the fact that President Trump has said something and now has enforced consequences, we really are hoping for even better partnerships. We need access to their criminal background system so that we know when someone crosses that northern border, who they are, why they're in our country, and who they may be partnering with. We also need them to work with us on identifying packages, technology investments. Canada has said they will do that. We just want to see them actually do it. In the past, promises have been made by both Mexico and Canada that they didn't follow through on. Their naming of a fentanyl czar in Canada is important. That's great. Now let's see really what happens.
Here's the problem. I don't believe Canada to follow through. I don't believe Mexico to follow through. You know, Mexico, their president, addressed what's being dubbed as 350,000 people, a live crowd, to talk about how she's working with the president, working with America. I don't really buy any of it. But you know me, I'm not one to trust. I think President Trump got the phrase wrong. You know, this phrase, trust but verify? Not me, pal. Verify, then trust. Maybe. You got to add a maybe at the end. Verify, then trust, maybe. Because, man, oh, man, they're out to get us. They really, really are. That, folks, is going to do it for us today. I'm Grant Stinchfield. Don't forget to check out the website, GrantStinchfield.com, GrantStinchfield.com. All the social media platforms, Stinchfield1776. Please give me a follow. If you're on Rumble, not only subscribe to the platform, but download the app. And then if you can, take the link, copy it, share it on all your social media platforms. This is how we get the voice out. You can sign up for the email list at GrantStinchfield.com as well. That is always greatly appreciated. Big show on the Real America's Voice show tonight. We're going to talk more about this continuing resolution, the budget, and where we need to be on that. Lauren Boebert, the congresswoman from Colorado, will join us tonight to talk about where she stands on all of this. So please tune into that. Again, GrantStinchfield.com. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks, of course, to all of you. See you tonight on the big show. Bye-bye.